Good evening, everybody. We are bringing to you today, Wednesday, January 15th, 2020's 7 p.m. World News from the LGBTQ perspective. I am bringing to you tonight Q News Tonight, which is the out of the closet and into the headlines perspective, which means that we are bringing to you everything relevant to the LGBTQ culture as has happened in the last 24 hours. And that's a lot tonight. I have to tell you, everything in the past 24 hours has been insane. And we're going to get into that a little bit more in the next 20 minutes or so. It is my goal to get you all of the information in the world in the next 20 minutes as related to the LGBTQ community. We've had a little bit of interference because there has been so much happening. I wanted to make sure I could bring you the correct updates. Tonight, we are here in Vegan Fine Foods on Las Olas Drive in Fort Lauderdale, just outside of Wilton Manors, the gayest place in America, because we want to make sure that you have your healthiest body as well as your healthiest brain with the news that we're delivering for you today. I'm your anchor, Napoleon Plays, and I am unfortunately, or fortunately, without my anchors, Al Ferguson or Aaron Dar. They are at their own respective events because we here at Q News Tonight are making sure to cover everything relative to you and what you need to know at home in the LGBTQ community. And that means that Al Ferguson is enjoying Gay Ski Week out there in Aspen. We wish him well and hope that he's enjoying himself because we know that he has had an incredibly specific last couple of days. I'm not sure how much he wants to share, but I'll make sure to make fun of him in person once he gets back and can report on what's been happening. And of course, Aaron Dar is out promoting what's going on in the political world in 2020. It has been fascinating, as we will report on today. We are the world's first live daily gay evening news program, and that means that we are here to help you with everything relevant in the last 24 hours of LGBTQ news. We are completely live and unscripted, and as you will see, anything can happen. And I'm flying solo, which means, good God, get a grip, girl, because I am here to embrace what's going on in all of media. We're in week 2 of our broadcast, and I am thrilled to be back as welcoming you into your homes this evening and into my home, which tonight is at Vegan Fine Foods. I hope that I will get an incredible latte or a green drink because I'm a health nut as a lifestyle expert on other programs on Happening Out Television Network. So I'm very happy to be here at Vegan Fine Foods. Q News Tonight is brought to you by the Happening Out Television Network, as I just mentioned to you. Our sister show is It's Happening Out, which is the world's most popular live gay TV show. And we also have a show that is a couple of months old, which is Happening.Fun, which brings you the latest and greatest things, your hottest source for things to fun in South Florida. All attractions, all fun. I promise you, it's incredible. It's where you want to go. 3 different programs, all on one LGBTQ-based network. Our most popular show, like I said, is It's Happening Out, which is right after this at 8 p.m. tonight. But we're like The View, but we're without Meghan McCain. We have some people that throw microphones now we have to include, but that's okay because we are here to bring you all sorts of different perspectives from the LGBTQ community. And if you're a viewer at home and want to be more involved with social media, I know you like us. I know you're already subscribed. I know that you're already commenting. But we want to make sure that you also start a watch party, especially if you're on Facebook. It's really simple, so just watch this quick video. We'll tell you how to do that.
When viewing our live show in your app, please click Share. After clicking Share, your screen should change and you can then click Watch Party. On the next screen, you can write text to your viewing audience and then click Start Watch Party. You've done it. Enjoy your party.
Tonight, we have a lot of breaking news. It has been an impeccable day and a great opportunity for me to be reporting to you solo. Today, Nancy Pelosi, the Speaker of the House, has sent the articles of impeachment to the Senate. And this is a very new, a very breaking conversation because we have been waiting for this to happen for a while. This is the last step. These 2 articles of impeachment being sent to the Senate tonight, just past an hour ago at 6 p.m. And both sides, the Republicans and the Democrats, have stated that Trump will probably be acquitted, but they're not sure how we're going to get there. And that's really where the exciting part is because he is only the 3rd president to probably go into an impeachment trial, which is different from a criminal trial because impeachment trials are unlike criminal trials where the person that is being who is the defendant, is not going to be jailed, but just removed and banned from office, where we don't need a unanimous count, but rather just 2/3 of a vote. And that 2/3 vote comes from senators, not from a jury of members who can be removed based on their moral accord, but just our senators who are there to be holding up by their own moral count. So let's hope that they are abiding by the judicial system and actually embarking on this in a way that makes sense to our entire civilization, because we have a lot that's going on. We have a lot that's going on with this impeachment process. Tonight is the final end game count. And so let's see what happens from here, because we are going to get our results from Trump and see what happens. Now, moving on into other news, Puerto Rico has obviously, since 2017, been struggling with redevelopment, and that means from the hurricane that hit in 2017, as well as in the past week and change and other events, hurricanes that have done devastating damage. And finally, now we can report to you that the Trump administration has finally ended a multiple month-long hold on $8 billion in disaster relief funds for Puerto Rico. The Housing and Urban Development Administration, which is the HUD, has stated that the delay 4 months past the deadline, meaning they had their deadline 4 months ago, was there to ensure that proper safeguards were in place to portion the funds to the correct facilities. And while we've had earthquakes in Puerto Rico, a denomination of the United States, actually, they have experienced devastation, and Speaker of the House Nancy Pelosi has stated and told the White House, "Stop! It's unlawful withholding. This is an unlawful withholding of funds from Puerto Rico." See, I can't even express to you how absurd it is, this statement. So we are here to express to you right now that is where we're at. In terms of Puerto Rico receiving more money, not just from Hurricane Maria in 2017, but also the earthquakes. They have received about $1.5 billion in funds, but there is a lot more that is there to be accounted for. Moving on. As you hear my voice break, moving on, because I'm so excited about what's going on. We have news from you tonight from Wilton Manors, my hometown itself, the de facto gayest place in America. In front of Wilton Manors City Hall, Andrew Brett, the president of the D.C. of the Log Cabin Republicans, has stated a few things that have been controversial in a rally that took place on Monday of this week, just 2 days ago. He has stated a couple of things you'll hear in this video. Watch this.
So hi, Aaron Darr here with Q News Tonight. Very excited. I have with me the president of the Log Cabin Republicans, Andrew Brett. How are you doing today?
Great. Good to be with you.
Wonderful. So we are here today. We are in the heart of Wilton Manors, right by Wilton Manors City Hall, and we are here today at the launch of the Broward County chapter and their announcement of their endorsement for President Donald Trump's re-election campaign. What is the Log Cabin Republicans, and why is it so important for you to endorse President Trump today?
Log Cabin Republicans are members of the LGBT community and our straight allies. We support conservative values. We support the Second Amendment. We're pro-life and lower taxes and less government in our homes, as it does on the national platform with the Republican National. So we're just a little subchapter of that. We just happen to be gay people who support conservative values and totally support the most pro-gay president we've ever had.
As you can see, in the gayest place in America, in Wilton Manors, a part of the greater Fort Lauderdale region in South Florida, has had a little bit of a controversy with the Log Cabin Republicans, a Republican group, as well as the Democrats or liberals. We don't want to identify the people that were there. Of course, there were about 5 speakers at this event, 12 supporters of Andrew Brett, the president of the Log Cabin Republicans, as well as about twice that, 24 anti-Trump supporters that were there at the rally. And it got a little bit crazy. as Andrew was trying to equate what was going on in the community and with the log cabin Republicans, there were people that were there over air horn expressing their beliefs, and then when that wasn't enough to silence Andrew Brett, they were there to honk their horns in a triangular formation to make sure his statements couldn't be heard. And while there are thoughts that you might have about that action, there's still Andrew Brett, and I want to make sure to get a couple of his quotations in. He's a former member of the It's Happening Out crew, which is about to air tonight at 8 p.m. live, the world's most popular live gay TV show. And Andrew Brett was a host on that show for a short while. His statements as the president of the Log Cabin Republican have stated that Amar and Talib are not friends of the GLBT community and support the execution and beheadings of the GLBT people, which means that there are people in the Middle East that are not supporting us. Statements that are said in general. And while we've had a number of conversations, you saw our report from my former co-host, who will be back tomorrow, thankfully, Aaron Dar, that he was able to interpret and interview Andrew Brett and what he had as far as thoughts were to go with this conversation. All I have to say to that is, Andrew, I appreciate what you're doing in terms of trying to speak up for the LGBTQ community. Aaron, I appreciate that you're out there to really speak on behalf of the LGBTQ community, to bring up the facts that Trump is not really supporting the LGBTQ community. I've said that so many times in the last few sentences. Trump has failed to appoint federal judges who oppose LGBTQ equality. He has been unbanned and on par with the ban of trans military members, and has stated that the Religious Freedom Acts and religious freedom is a way to discriminate against the LGBTQ community. And there's a lot to stay on both sides. I hope that you'll tune in, because this is going to be an ongoing conversation. So, moving on, we have, in addition to the president of the Log Cabin Republicans' endorsement of Trump, we have more things that have been happening in addition to Aaron Dar and in addition to Andrew Brett, both former and recurring co-hosts on It's Happening Out, our sister network. Moving on, we have the final Democratic debate recap from the Democratic debate that took place just a couple of days ago. Let's see a little bit of that story. Watch this.
I defeated an incumbent Republican running for Congress.
When?
1990. That's how I won, beat a Republican congressman. Number two, of course, I don't think there's any debate up here.
Wasn't it 30 years ago?
I beat an incumbent Republican congressman.
And I said I was the only one who's beaten an incumbent Republican in 30 years.
Well, 30 years ago was 1990, as a matter of fact.
As you can see, I am in shock over this story. It has been an interesting endeavor as we've moved forward. The final Democratic debate has happened. We had 6 in 2019, and our first of this year has started with the 6 leading candidates of the Democratic Party taking form in what's going to be obviously a strong battle in 2020 to see who's going to lead the Democratic Party. We had Joe Biden, we had Bernie Sanders, we had Elizabeth Warren, and we had Pete Buttigieg leading the pack in the 6 leading candidates, as well as Tom Steyer and Amy Klobuchar, who were there as candidates. Quick takeaway, just because I want to present this news to you in very efficient format, as we are told to do, and I want to make sure you can get this to you every day, Q News Tonight, every day, in just a 20-minute format. There was not really that much shafu about the 4 leading candidates, Buttigieg, Warren, Sanders, and Biden. They were generally there. They were on point with a lot of what they were stating. There was a little bit of a debate over women in power between Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren. In fact, they even got a little bit into it, as you saw in that video, over what he said, she said, might be in as it relates to if a woman could be president, but we're not really sure of the results of that, and I'm not going to get into the catty debate of it. Also there were Tom Steyer and Amy Klobuchar, who didn't make huge mistakes, but didn't really make their presence known, and that's part of what we want to discuss for tonight. So, moving on to our next story. We have Russia, and can I tell you, this was the statement of today that I wanted to make sure that we represented correctly, because today, as has happened, Russia has called its entire parliament to resign. The entire Russian government has resigned. It does not mean Putin has resigned. We've got no sound video to go over for you today, but we've got a little bit of a talk over video, and we're going to start that as I go into some of this conversation, because today the Prime Minister of Russia, Dmitry Medvedev, has announced that he and the entire Russian government will resign. Putin, a couple of days ago, outlined a number of fundamental changes to the Constitution, a significant number of changes that are not only to a number of articles of the Constitution, but also to the balance of power as whole, which is a quick way to say that he's making political power changes that are going to affect Russia, that have been seen for a while, and that we should be aware of and the greater context of. He stated, in this context, it's obvious that we, as the government, should provide the president of our country with the opportunities to make all the decisions necessary for this. And in these conditions, I believe that it would be right, in accordance to Section 117 of the Constitution, for the government to resign. And to be clear, that was not Putin, that was Medvedev, who is, of course, the former Prime Minister of Russia. And so we see that the entire government, the entire parliament of Russia has stepped out of practice for what Putin has put into place just a couple of days ago, which essentially enacted more power to parliament, more power to making sure that if you were going to be elected to the state of presidency, that you had the affirmations of parliament, which is really a quick way of saying that Putin is trying to make sure that as he steps down from being in his current position, that he will then take over in parliament and just essentially have a new title while having the same power. So this might be a power play from Putin. We are paying attention to what he might be doing. It has been an incredibly odd turn of events, today from the parliament in Russia, and we are going to see how Putin takes power, how Putin takes potency moving forward, and what these power plays are, especially as it relates to the rest of the world. So stay tuned for more of that information. Moving on. Iran calls Trump's nuclear deal strange. We've got a video for you that explains it a little bit more. Watch this.
Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has dismissed the idea of a new Trump deal to resolve the nuclear row, calling the suggestion by Britain's Prime Minister a strange offer on Wednesday, advocating instead a return to the nuclear deal signed in 2015, which is now in jeopardy.
If you take the wrong step, it will be to your detriment. Pick the right path. The right path is to return to the nuclear deal.
That's right. You heard it here. Iranian President Hassan Rouhani has been urged by the British Prime Minister to take the Trump nuclear deal, which is, of course, not a specific thing. The Trump nuclear deal is not an actual statement. It is just and I'll get into that in a moment, of presentations by Trump as to what should happen next. Boris Johnson, the Prime Minister of the UK, has stated that Trump's Iran 2015 nuclear deal has had major powers with the new pact to ensure that Tehran in Iran does not actually get an atomic weapon. And so what's going on right here is a very quick power struggle. We see that Iran is trying to get a hold of nuclear weapons to be in the conversation. They don't want to have their power taken away, and they see that as the best option. See that Iran's former prime minister has stated, no, the deal from 2015 is not dead. It's not dead. Zarif, the foreign minister, has stated that I had a U.S. deal and the U.S. broke it. If I have a Trump deal, how long will it last? Which is essentially to say, how can you take Trump's deal, even if it's not an official deal, how can you take Trump's deal and make it take place of an actual accord that has been stated from just a few years ago? So Iran is figuring out what they want to do, as well as the rest of the world who is responding to this endeavor, because we don't know how to respond to this. What is Iran going to do, and what is Boris Johnson going to push next? How is Trump going to flip all of this conversation to make it into his own words and his own ordeal? We'll see moving forward. Next up, Twitter has suspended GRINDR as well as other companies' ads over privacy. And now what we're seeing here, we don't have a sound video, but we have a talk-over video here, so I'm going to make sure that gets promoted. What we're seeing here is that GRINDR, as well as Tinder and OkCupid, owned by the same company, those last two, have had their ads removed from Twitter. And the reason that that has happened is because Twitter has had a complication from those other three companies. GRINDR is the world's largest social networking app for gay, bi, trans, and queer people. And OkCupid and Tinder have as well been, as I'm going to tell you, banned from advertising on Twitter. And this is data that the apps have collected, all three of them, that have been helped to be used for marketers to customize ads and also to be used to discriminate, to manipulate, and to exploit community. So that means that Tinder, OkCupid, GRINDR have had their own services, for whatever reasons I'm about to explain, utilized to exploit the people that are involved with them. And so it's a problem that we're experiencing, that the LGBTQ community is having some of their personal information exploited, and we're going to see how that goes forward interfering, because the communities that have been impacted have had their sexual preferences, their drug use, their political views, and more put forward in this app on Twitter, and neither GRINDR, Tinder, or OkCupid are okay with that being the case, and we are seeing what happens next as those companies decide to figure out their plan of action. So stay tuned for more as we can report upon it. Moving forward, still in business, Match Group, which, well, that's the one that owns OkCupid, is the one that I was saying before. I'm still on the last segment. Don't worry about that. There's a lot of information that I'm here to report to you today. So moving forward in business, the fashion app, TechUp, has had an ecological impact. ThreadUp. ThreadUp is a large online fashion retailer that has had a fashion footprint calculator to help shoppers understand the impact of their fashion choices and what they've had on the environment. We've got a video for you. Watch this.
Globally, sorting plants like this only deal with around 25% of discarded clothes. In Britain, more than 300,000 tons of clothes end up in landfill every year. It's the fastest growing category of waste in the country. But this is a global problem. Expanding middle classes in emerging markets are hungry for more and cheaper fashion. It's estimated that by 2050, global clothing sales could more than triple.
That's right. We bring this to you from QUp to Business tonight. Your fashion footprint calculator can be used to help figure out how much you are actually wasting in the community as far as it goes to clothing, which we have been reported to have been spending twice as much in half as much time. So there's a lot of waste. In fact, 8 to 10%, as described in the video, that of our own purchasing of clothing that goes to our own dismay into the trash. So let's not waste our money, let's not waste our economy, and let's not waste our earth, and make smarter choices. This app, ThreadUp, is available on smartphones even for non-ThreadUp customers, and we are here to help you understand that we can help you improve your fashion carbon imprint. And so with just 12 simple questions, we can tell you how much you buy, whether you need to rent clothing, and how much you return via this app. And it also asks about dry cleaning and laundry habits, so it's really all encompassing. So tonight I want to wrap up with just a quick segment about Diego the horny tortoise, who saves his species. We don't have a video for this, but a Galapagos tortoise species has had over 800 babies since 1970, when there were only 14 in his species that were reported to exist. He's a Galapagos tortoise. We've got this video to show you a little bit more about him. It's got some words, so pay attention to that and to myself. And this tortoise, Diego, as well as a non-discriminant other tortoise named E5, quoted for being terrible for branding. So we've got the two tortoises who have, through their sex drive, helped reinvigorate this entire species. It went from having 14 of their own species available who were individuals in 1970 to over 800 individual tortoises of this nature that are now living and thriving in 2020. So thank you so much, Diego. Thank you, E5, the less brandable tortoise who has done his job. We appreciate your libido, and we appreciate all that you have done for the population of the earth. Because as an LGBTQ person, I can tell you for sure, procreation is not our only goal as a species. We have to provide more. We have to provide social structure, but we still need to reproduce. So thank you, everybody, for joining in with us today. Remember, if it is important to the LGBTQ plus community, it's important to us. I am Napoleon Plays, and I am here flying solo tonight without Aaron Darr, without Al Ferguson, to thank you for joining in, because we have had a number of topics and so many more every single day that are reported to the LGBTQ community. Thank you for tuning in. We are here every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday to tell you everything in the LGBTQ community that's happening. Please join me the next time, and I assure you Q News Tonight will bring you everything you need to know in a short time span within the LGBTQ community. I'll see you guys next time.